Get ready. Get set. It's time for the basement view. Hey. What's happening? It's me. Glad to be here. Dadgummit. Man, don't know what happened there. It's probably operator error. As usual. What's going on, y'all? How's everybody? Man, gotta tell you. Oh boy. Whew, the life of me. Glad to be here on this Wednesday evening. Got a lot of stuff as usual. A lot of stuff going on. You know, old buddy Trump. Oh, by the way, subscribe, hit that thumbs up for me, and see if we can get that algorithm to kick in. Old Donald. Hey, Lisa, what's happening? Glad you could be here. We're going to talk about old Donald tonight. My man pretty much almost shut the government down yesterday. Ain't got sense enough to even know what he did, you know? We all know. Hey, Sherry. As we all know, he issued an executive order. And in that order was, hey, Carmen, James, what's going on? In that order was in order to stop the funding for grants and loans. You all know how I always say, what you have to do is read the actual language that's down in the order. You cannot look at the cover page and just go from that. There's often pages and pages and pages. Well, apparently, hey, Charles, you can't hear me? Is it me or you? I don't know. Can everybody else hear me? Somebody let me know. 'Cause that would be weird. I don't see anything disconnected. Oh, okay, you can hear me. Okay, Sherry, you can hear me. Okay, Charles, looks like it's you. Okay. Turn your volume up, Charles. Anyway, in this executive order, I always tell people, you know, when you see these things, you have to actually go and get the actual document and read it. And you'll find there's a lot of stuff in there often. So in this particular order, they issued an order to shut off the funding. Okay? And apparently, oh, okay, thanks, Lisa. Apparently, that's what they did. They shut the funding off. Now, I'm going to give you my theory on that in a minute. But inside of that executive order, there were 800 pages, spreadsheets, an 800-page spreadsheet. Now, who do you think went through 800 pages before they made a move? Nobody. They looked at the cover and started cutting off funding. So they cut off the pay portal for Medicaid and a host of other agencies that were not supposed to be cut off. Okay? Now, they got to play cleanup today and have been doing just that. And we're going to have a little video to check out the cleanup. Check it out.
Breaking news from the White House administration. I did want to share this with you right now, as we have learned that the White House Office of Management and Budget has rescinded the Trump administration's directive to freeze federal loans, grants, and other financial assistance. That is according to a White House official. I did want to share just a little bit more information about this breaking news. This is a look at the memorandum that issued the freeze of these federal fundings. President Trump's budget office just moments ago rescinding this order to freeze spending on federal grants. This comes less than 2 days after this freeze sparked widespread confusion and legal challenges across the country. The Monday evening order from the White House Office of Management and Budget, it was uncertain. A lot of people were confused about finances for state schools and organizations, and it left the White House working to explain what would and would not be subject to the pause in the funding. There was a lot of pushback from Democrats on this. And a little bit earlier on, a federal judge did temporarily block that push from President Trump to pause funding for federal grants and loans while his administration took a look and reviewed all of these initiatives. Yesterday, the White House also began offering buyouts with salary through September 30th to all federal employees who chose to leave their jobs by February 6th. This is part of President Trump's overhaul of the U.S. government. But perhaps that may not be the case anymore, as we have learned that the White House Office of Management and Budget has rescinded the Trump's administration directive to freeze federal funding for loans, grants, and other financial assistance. Meanwhile, late Monday night, President Trump fired the Equal Employment Opportunity Commissioner and the vice chair. That organization, that agency, comprised of 5 commissioners and enforces federal laws that prohibit discrimination in the workplace. We are continuing to look for reaction and responses to this breaking news as of now.
Okay. Now, there was 3 things in that package that she just ran off. There was 3 things. A, the order was rescinded. Okay. Now, a judge stepped in today and said, it don't matter about your rescinding that order. It ain't worth a damn no way. You know, I wasn't going to let it go through, because between you, the people who did the execution, and you doing this rescinding today, I'm ruling it ain't worth a damn. Okay. So that happened today. So, that was that. So let's look at that right there. That was Project 2025. Hey, Ronnie, what's up? That was Project 2025. Okay. That was the first round. That was the first shot fired. Okay. And here's what was wrong with it. And maybe they're going to figure it out. But here's what was wrong with it. They didn't tell the people who are already in government what's going on. He just came out with Project 2025 and said, booyah. And the people that work in government right now said, all right then. And they started doing. Nobody looked at none of those pages behind the front page. There was a shitload of spreadsheets that told which governments would be touched and which wouldn't be touched. Nobody read them. So this is what happens when you got a bunch of idiots hell-bent on destroying a country. He almost shut the whole country down yesterday. So now that that little to-do is over for now, because they're going to revisit it, they're going to try and figure out, oh, we better tell the people in a nice short list and maybe do this in steps. You can't just come out and just cut funding off. You can't do it. Okay? So that's that package. The next package, he offered buyouts. Now that's Elon Musk talking. Offering buyouts to all of the government employees. Really? Now I'm going to tell you personally, I may have been tempted to take the offer. The only problem with it is there has been no money allocated through Congress to buy anybody out. Yeah, man. Absolutely, James. That's the purge. That's absolutely what it is. But again, you got people who don't know how government works doing this. Okay? There's no, you can't call somebody on the telephone or send a memo down to an office and say, okay, Jerry Lewis here is going to take this buyout and we got to cut him a check for 7 months' pay and wrap his employment up. There's nobody down there that can cut him a check for 7 months' pay. That's not how government works. There has to be an account set up through Congress that says this amount of money is allocated to paying buyouts. And then this amount of money will be parked over in an account just for paying buyouts. But the idiots don't understand that. See, all of these people that they elected, these businessmen, they know nothing about government. Okay? They don't know how the government works. They never made it to the government econ class, I guess. So, all of these buyouts that were offered aren't worth a penny. Now, the other part, they put that or else in there that says you risk, your employment if you don't take the buyout. Your employment is at risk anyway, whether you take the buyout or not. The employment part of that is already at risk because, if I'm not mistaken, he already put people back into what's known as Schedule F positions. And that is the positions that are able to be fired easily. Okay? That's a category recognized by the IRS as at-will employment, which means I can fire your ass at will. Okay? So he redesignated a lot of government to that category. Again, You got to dig down in those executive orders and see what's in them. So, as of right now, that ain't going nowhere because, Elon Musk issued that order and didn't understand, this ain't a company that's got just an accounts sitting over here that you can get money out of to do whatever. It don't work that way. Now, the third little tidbit in that report was he fired the chairman and co-chair of the EOC. And that is the Equal Opportunity Employment Commission. So you know what they do. They're the people who fight the civil rights cases. They're the people who fight the discrimination cases in the workplace. So he's getting rid of that. That means discrimination in the workplace will be new and improved. Okay? That is the purge. All right? As James just put it. So this is Project 2025 taking place. Now, one thing about it, they don't know what they're doing. So it's a good chance they can wreck some shit accidentally. I'm thinking that's probably what we're going to see one of these days. They're going to wreck something accidentally. So, pay attention. If you got some thoughts on this, let me know. What y'all think. Personally, I got this feeling that somebody was laughing when he signed that executive order, cutting off the money, cutting off the funding. I got a feeling there were some career employees in government that were kind of giggling, saying, when they got the order, they probably saw the spreadsheets and said, yeah, right. Okay, you want us to cut the money off? All right, we're cutting the money off. And they went right in the system and started closing portals. I'd be willing to bet they did that, and they started laughing while they did it because they knew what it would do. But the man that issued the order didn't. So that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking somebody did it with a smile on their face. So anyway, one other thing I want to talk about today is, have anybody noticed these cameras on poles around their neighborhoods and through the cities? Have any of you noticed, like along the roads, there's these black poles and they got cameras on them and these big square boxes, antennas? Well, those are license plate readers. Okay? Now, I've known that they had license plate readers. I did not know that their intent was to deploy them everywhere. I thought they were like on main streets, but they're everywhere. And that kind of gave me a little moment. Let's check out this video.
In Norfolk, Virginia, police know everywhere you drive. They can tell when you're driving to work, picking up your kids from school, or going to a doctor's appointment. And many residents aren't happy about it.
My name is Lee Schmidt, and I live in Norfolk, Virginia. I was stationed originally in Norfolk on board the USS Bainbridge, and I retired here just recently. So I was stationed on Little Creek. I was driving to work and I started driving by these little cameras on poles. And while I was sitting at a stoplight waiting to get to work one day, I took a picture of one. And I reached out to my local council people with the photo of one and just kind of asked, what were they? Well, I got a response back saying that they were the flock cameras, and I started to do a bit of research on them, and I really realized how intrusive they were.
In 2023, Norfolk Police partnered with a tech company called Flock Safety to install more than 170 automatic license plate reader cameras throughout the city. These cameras are different from a red light camera or speed camera, which are triggered by a specific violation. They watch every car that drives by.
Can actually create a traceable path of the car moving through the city as long as it's being picked up by the flock cameras.
Correct. And it would be difficult to drive anywhere of any distance without running into a camera somewhere.
I don't like being tracked every day. I don't like when I drive by the intersection here at Ward's Corner, then being able to tell which way I'm going. There's 4 cameras there. When I researched the cameras, I did learn about them using artificial intelligence. That when you drive by them, it's not just a snapshot of your license plate number. It reads the demographics of your vehicle. It's a brown car, it's got fender damage, and then it can build a profile of where you've been, and that tracking ability is quite nerve-wracking.
Once it uploads driver's information to the cloud, Flock uses AI to create a fingerprint police can use to track the same vehicle as it moves through the city. Flock says its cameras are in more than 5,000 communities across 47 states. Norfolk's police chief commented that the use of Flock cameras in neighboring cities creates a, quote, curtain of technology. Flock's cameras store the data they collect and police can access it without a warrant.
There's no controls on how it can be used. Someone can go out and pull that data whenever they want if they just don't like you. There's no limits or requirements on how often it's audited to see when the police officers have pulled up the information.
In Kansas, police were caught using Flock cameras to stalk their exes. In California, police departments may have violated state law by sharing their Flock data outside the state. And similar databases have been hacked, revealing private data that was offered up for sale on the dark web.
And I'm worried about someone getting in and getting that data and access to the cameras and to be able to know if I'm home or if I'm out of the state. Is it a good time to break into my home? Is it a good time to track my wife? The amount of abuse that can be done by just tracking my vehicle is pretty grave.
This type of prolonged warrantless surveillance is unconstitutional. The Supreme Court has ruled the prolonged use of cell phone location data to follow someone is a search that requires a warrant. And the federal court that covers Norfolk ruled that Baltimore's use of surveillance planes to monitor the city was an illegal, warrantless search. Tracking people everywhere they go is a search, and giving the police arbitrary power to track everyone in Norfolk is unreasonable. That's why Lee Schmidt has teamed up with IJ to file a federal lawsuit challenging the constitutionality of this surveillance program.
With this lawsuit, I hope to end the illegal and unconstitutional surveillance. I hope that my kids don't have to be illegally surveilled, and I hope that other people don't fall to the abuses of the surveillance.
All right. Now, what do y'all think about that? I mean, you know, when I first saw one of those, I thought, you know, that sounds like a good idea, you know, because it's got to be good at catching the bad guys trying to get away. I did not know that it was something that is basically on 24 hours a day and can monitor anybody's car anytime, all day, and build a profile on anybody. I didn't know anything. I didn't know that. You know, Let me ask you, what do you think? That sounds kind of scary to me, especially considering, the people we got in government now. No, James, that's not a good thing. I mean, considering, I think tomorrow, Cash Patel and I can't remember her name, but Cash Patel, who has been nominated as Attorney General, is going to start his confirmation hearings. This is a person that would use that system to no end. Okay? And did you hear the part about the cops using it to stalk their girlfriends? That's jacked up. So, I mean, man, that's crazy. You want to catch the bad guys, when they trying to flee. You want to do that. But I would think that would be a system that's like, it's like the red light cameras that, I would think it would be like the red light cameras that are triggered, for a moment. If a bank is robbed, a store is robbed, then an alert goes out and triggers the cameras. It's scary that they own all day long, every day, and can track any car and build a profile on the person. That's crazy. That is crazy. So whoever came up with that one. And imagine you got a routine. They know your whole routine. Imagine if they decided to just build a routine on everybody. We have some on Grant and Harrison. Yeah, I've seen them practically everywhere. On Broadway, in Maryville, I've seen them things popping up everywhere. That is crazy. See, I didn't know anything about that building the profile thing. And being able to literally, just record your actual routine on a daily basis. That's scary. Because, they could plan breaking in your house. If they know your routine, you go to work at whatever time and come back at whatever time, Or they could, plan some other dastardly deed. That's crazy. And I don't know. And I'm guilty as everybody else. I don't really go to the meetings when cities are planning things like this. I think maybe I better get on the ball and start paying some stuff some attention, because this kind of getting out of hand. And I'm sure they had to have like city council approving this or whatever. I at least hope this ain't a executive order kind of thing, Anyway, so as I said Monday, today I am gonna get into. I'm gonna stop talking. a little quicker. By the way, hit that thumbs up for me if your thumbs ain't tied up, and help that algorithm. I am going to now go into this investment portion. Let me see. I'm going to do this first, right here, and see how this works. Okay, that worked out. And switch that there. Let's see if this works. Yeah, right there. Okay. All right. Now, this, what I've been talking about in the investment side, here's this list that I created. It's called Jeff's List, and I just put a few stocks in there. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to compare two. I've gotten 6 in here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare 2 based on how much money I got to spend. And in this particular account, at this particular time, I have, oops, wrong one. Let's go back there. I don't know if it shows up on this page, how much I got or not. It'll probably show up if I pull up a stock or something, which is what I'm going to do right now. ESRT. Let's pull up ESRT. Empire State Realty Trust. Okay. Under Empire State Realty Trust, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down just a bit, and I'm going to look at some of these numbers right here. Okay? Now, remember, I said I like stuff that's in between the 52-week high and 52-week low. And this stock is trading at $9 and something. So that's in the middle right there. Let's scroll down a little bit more. Now here, remember I talked about the analyst ratings. Now, on this one, 67% give it a hold. Now, a hold is just what it says. They recommend you don't buy it, you don't sell it. If you got some, just hold it. A lot of times, when analysts issue a hold rating, some investors sell it because they only want to buy stocks that have a buy rating. That's okay if they do that. Stocks that have a hold rating, they're typically okay. The other thing I wanted to look at is what? Remember I told you, when you're analyzing stocks and comparing stocks, you look at the price to earnings ratio. If you recall, I said, and here, let me make this a little bigger and move it. Remember I said the price to earnings ratio, I typically like mine somewhere around 25. A lot of people don't mind 35. You know, for me, when it gets up in the 35 area, it's overpriced to me. Okay, there are stocks out there that are 100. Okay, you'll see this number at 100. That's way overpriced. And the price to earnings typically means how much you're paying for a stock based on the earnings of the company. Are you getting a good value for your dollar? Now, what that is, that 34.45 represents 34 times the earnings. Okay, that's what that is. That's 34 to 1. I don't mind paying, 20, 25 times earnings. I tend to, if it's a really nice company, then I may go up into these areas, but not typically. So, we've looked at this price to earnings. We've looked at a whole rating, dividend yield, 1.49%. That is minuscule. Okay? I need something with a much bigger dividend than that. Now, let me do this. When you buying a stock, a lot of people try and not buy stocks with a huge yield. A lot of people try to buy stocks that have a smaller yield. When I buy stocks, I'm buying stocks to create income. So I want a good yield. And 1% is not a good yield. 1.49% is not a good yield. So let's look at what we had with that stock. The range that it's trading in is okay. It's in between the 52-week high and low. Now, there's a lot of other metrics to look at, but these are the first few that can get me interested in a stock. And I can actually buy a stock off of these few metrics. That 52-week high and low, if it's in the middle, I'm good. That dividend yield, that's too low. So this particular stock would be a no sale for me. Okay. So let's go in. The analyst rating of whole, I could deal with that. The PE ratio is higher than I like. So low yield, that's a no-no, and a high PE ratio. A high PE ratio means you're paying too much for the amount of earnings that the company is making. Okay? All right. So I'm going to jump back over here. Now, let's look at another one. Let's look at another company. All right. Let's go back here. That's the one we were looking at. All right. And the reason I'm picking these two is because they're both $9 stocks. These others are a little bit higher. These are both $9 stocks. And as you can see, when I pull this up, okay, the first thing you see is this is an order card. Okay. This order card right here tells you how much money I got to use. So that's why I'm looking at stocks in the $9 range, because I only got $150. Okay. Now, Let me squeeze that. Another $9 stock. Okay. Also, today, it traded to the upside. That's always a good sign. Now, let's start to scroll down. All right. 52-week high and low. It's $9 and change, so it's in the middle of that. That's a good thing. It's in the middle of the 52-week high and low. Okay. Hey, look at this. Price to earnings. That's a 10. Hey, that's a good number. That means, okay, with the other stock, it was 34. That means 34 times the earnings is what you're paying. You know? I don't want to pay 34 times what the earnings are. I'd much rather pay 10 times what the earnings are. That's a much more value priced stock. They're both $9, right? And I'm not going to go into things like the market cap because we'll discuss why one would be better than the other later on. And I ain't going to go into volume right now. Just going right here on the metrics that I can use that I will get interested in a stock right now. Okay? So we got two good things in the middle of the 52-week high and low. A nice low PE ratio. Look at this dividend yield. That is a 14% dividend yield versus the other stock that had a 1% dividend yield. And the dividend yield is the money you're going to get paid to hold that stock. Okay? All right. Now, let's look at the next metric right quick. Let's see. Hey, analyst ratings. Look at that. 60% of the analysts, they rate this a buy. They don't rate this a hold. They like this one. These are the people who get paid to analyze a stock and give their opinion of whether it's a good stock or not. When a stock has a buy rating, that typically means people are interested in it and buying. Okay? Look at this headline. It's named Top 10 REITs at Dividend Channel. Dividend Channel is probably a group that rates companies by their ability to pay and keep paying a high dividend. And they're in the top 10. That's good news. Okay? That's good news. Now, one other thing. The one thing you always want to know about a company is what it actually does. Okay? And this company, we can read right here what it does. What they do is they invest in residential mortgage pass-through securities. And what that is, pass-through securities and collateralized mortgage obligations are this. And I bet some of you will understand this when I say it. Matter of fact, and also it says that the principal and interest payments are guaranteed by the United States government, sponsored enterprise, or by the government agency, which is like Fannie Mae. Okay? So, let me explain what mortgage backed pass-throughs and collateralized obligations are. And some of you are going to get this immediately when I explain it. If you have ever owned a house, if you have ever bought a house and have a mortgage, and you're paying your mortgage, and one day you get a phone call or a letter, and they say your mortgage has been bought by another company, or your mortgage will now be serviced by another company. Okay? That is a mortgage-backed pass-through or collateralized obligation. What happens is banks will package a nice package of mortgages that they have, and they will sell this package of mortgages to another company. And now that company will service that mortgage or that package of mortgages. And what it does is they'll sell it to them for, let's say 90 cents on the dollar. They get a nice big sum of money. The company that bought them gets 10 cents on the dollar in profit for buying that package. Okay? AG&C, they are a company. They provide the money for those transactions. Okay? They buy those packages and sell those packages. They buy a lot of those packages and hold them. And when they hold a package like that, as you make your payment goes to them. The profit that they make, they pay to people who own the stock. That's how you get paid. So, AG&C holds a bunch of mortgages, and as people pay those mortgages that are guaranteed by government agencies, they get paid, and the profits go straight to the people who own the stock. These stocks are called income producing stock. You are producing an income for yourself when you buy a share of this stock. Okay? So, let me go back over here for a second. Now, let me squeeze this down. All right. I'm going to go back to the other one that we were looking at. It is also a real estate investment trust, but it does not invest in real estate through mortgages. That's the difference in the two companies. This one engages in owning, managing, acquiring, and repositioning office and retail properties. It operates through real estate and observatory segments. Now, where would you not really want to be in right now? Would you really want to be in office property? Okay? And retail property? You know, a mall is not someplace I'd want to be in right now. Okay? That's not what I'd want to own right now. I'd rather own a company that's dealing in mortgages because they are A, backed by the government, and B, remember I told you about financials. In financials right now, it is a good environment because the interest rates are starting to come down. As interest rates come down, more mortgages will be available. Remember, that's how that works. Okay? So, just hold on to that as of right now. Right now, today, actually, the Fed voted to keep interest rates right where they were. I had a feeling they was going to do that because of who just stepped in the White House and what he's doing and saying and all that other stuff. You know, all the stuff that he's doing and saying has caused the Fed. They were lowering the rates up until today. And I thought they're probably not going to lower them. And they didn't. They're probably just waiting. Now, they'll have another meeting next month. And we'll see where we are then. Now, what I was going to do is I was going to go through the buying process. But we're kind of at the end of the hour. And so that's the first thing I'll do Friday. I'll get into the buying process. I'm going to leave that right here. I appreciate y'all that hung in there with me through that. I'm going to buy some stock next time. And you saw the process that I use. Now, there are other metrics like the volume that they trade at, whether they hit their earnings per share estimate or not. And I'll get into why it's okay if a company misses its estimate. Because sometimes they miss, sometimes they hit. I'll get into why it's okay if some companies miss for a while, because they announce each quarter. They announce, and some companies announce monthly, but it's a quarterly announcement for the most part. Every 3 months, they announce 3 months of earnings. So I'm going to stop this right there. And Friday, I'm going to buy some stock. And like I said, also, what I'm going to do is I'm going to venture into crypto. I'm just going to make a purely speculative crypto buy, just for the hell of it. Because, as I told you, I got into that DeepSeek AI and asked it to give me a crypto stock that it could analyze and give me reasons it would be a good reason to buy it. And it generated a few examples for me. So I took one of them and I said, I'm going to throw some money into it just for the hell of it. And I'm going to take y'all along for the ride. Okay? So, hey, again, ChatGPT and DeepSeek. DeepSeek is, I've tried them both. If you're not familiar with AI, you should at least try it. Look it up. Now, again, you can download these on your phone and you can do the phone thing. Okay. I personally am a computer guy. You know, I like a bigger screen. I got a laptop sitting right there. I like a bigger screen. I don't like looking at that little screen. There's much more information on this big screen. So that's that. You can download them on your phone if you want to. Give them a try. Trust me, they're very interesting because you can talk to it like a person. It will let you know that it's not a person, but it will respond to you the way a person would. And it is a knowledge base like you've never seen. You know, I like the DeepSeek model because how it's designed versus ChatGPT is completely different. And that's some technical stuff I ain't gonna bother going into. Check them out. It will blow your mind. AI is here. Okay? So anyway, I'm gonna call it good right there. Hey, thanks for hanging out with me. I will see you all Friday. Let's get ready to buy some stock. And like I said, we are purchasing stock to create a stream of income for ourselves. Okay? So, on that note, y'all take it easy.